What is macular degeneration? How to prevent it? How to treat it? Today's lesson from the International Medical University.
International Medical University. Today we're going to discuss macular degeneration of the eye, what it is, and what to do for it.
Dry, age-related macular degeneration. In 2005,
they took a look and they said, yes, your optician's right, you've got macular degeneration. Do you know anything about it? I said, no, I've never heard the name of it before.
They sort of told me that I'd got macular disease and I'd probably be completely blind in 5 years' time and there was nothing they could do.
He said, you're going to go blind, it might be 1 month, 2 months, 3, you might get longer, but you're going to lose your sight. And he talked to me, and what he said I don't know, because I just felt as if I was just alone in that room. I felt just totally stunned.
To suddenly be told by the consultant that there was nothing could be done, and you were just dropped with a year's appointment. But my wife was an absolute rock, and she, typical Midlander, basically just wouldn't accept that nothing could be done. And we got in touch with the local rehabilitation officer. We discovered a local macular disease society group, which was excellent, and we got involved with that. And basically, by trial and error, we found out that there's a whole network of stuff out there.
No matter who you are, even if you're a doctor, a diagnosis of macular disease can be bewildering. Sometimes people leave an eye clinic thinking that they will go completely blind, or that there is no help for people with MD. Neither of those beliefs is true, as this film will show. But let's start at the beginning. What is macular disease? Here's Professor Simon Harding.
Most people, I think, know that the retina lines the back of the eye, and that's the light-sensitive tissue which converts light into the messages of sight which pass from the eye through to the brain. The macula is the central part of the retina, which is where fine vision is located, and that's the area that you use for reading, writing, watching television and recognizing people's faces. And so you can see that if the macula degenerates, all those parts of the vision that you take for granted, which are important for daily life, become affected. Age-related macular degeneration comes in two main types: the dry form and the wet form. In the dry form, the pigment cells under the retina die off and the patient experiences gradual loss of vision, usually over the space of 6, maybe 12 months, but it can extend over many years. In wet macular degeneration, new vessels form. Those blood vessels leak fluid, bleed and scar, and that combination of fluid, bleeding and scarring takes away the central vision. That loss of central vision can occur quite rapidly, often over a few weeks, and usually affects both eyes, although one eye tends to be affected before the other. About 5% of people with dry macular degeneration go on to develop wet macular degeneration.
So what causes MD? And why is it that some people get it and others don't? We're gradually building up a picture of the causes and the risk factors. It is now clear that genes play an important part in MD. 2 genes in particular have been identified. People with a copy of both these genes from each parent have a 98% chance of developing MD. But there are other risk factors too. The older you are, the more likely you are to develop MD. Most people with MD are over 65. There's a strong link between smoking and MD. A poor diet may increase the risk of MD. High blood pressure and cardiovascular disease have been linked to MD, and so has high exposure to ultraviolet light. There are also genetic macular conditions affecting younger people. They're all very rare and are often just described as juvenile macular dystrophy. Sometimes they're given specific names, such as Stargardt's disease or Sorsby's fundus dystrophy. All forms of MD have similar symptoms. The first obvious symptom is usually blurred vision. This can happen very gradually, and if only one eye is affected, a person may not notice for some time. And colour vision can deteriorate too, and gradually the central vision is lost, so that eventually only the peripheral vision is intact. This is typical of dry MD. Some people can suddenly notice that their vision is distorted. Straight lines become bent or wavy, or there may be gaps in the vision. This is a sign of the development of wet macular degeneration and should be treated as an emergency. A person may already have dry MD and then develop the wet form in the same eye, or wet MD symptoms may be the first they notice. Some conditions affecting younger people are also wet forms of MD. So anyone with these symptoms should see an optician or an eye doctor as soon as possible. This is because there is now treatment for wet MD, but it needs to be given quickly if it is to be effective.
So in recent years, a number of treatments have started to become available for macular degeneration, but only at the moment for the wet or neovascular form. As yet, there is no treatment for the dry form of macular degeneration. One of the important things to understand, though, is that treatment for wet macular degeneration is only effective in the relatively early stages of the disease. And I'm afraid that if you have had wet macular degeneration for more than 12 months or so, none of the treatments that are currently available are effective.
This is why anyone noticing a sudden change in their vision should go to an optician. If wet MD is suspected, you should be referred immediately to a retinal specialist at a hospital. You should not be sent back to a GP. Family doctors are not trained to deal with macular disease. In the case of wet MD, fast treatment is vital. So referral to anyone other than a retinal specialist will cause delay. Even if you have had wet MD for a long time, it is still possible to have a new episode which might be treatable. So you should always be vigilant about monitoring your vision. Damage to the eye caused by dry MD or long-standing wet MD cannot at the moment be treated. Some people with wet MD will be offered a form of laser treatment, but the more usual treatment now is with a drug injected into the eye to stop the formation of new blood vessels. The treatment is not a miracle cure, but it does help to maintain vision in most people who have it. The injections are given in hospital every 4 to 6 weeks. Naturally, at first, some patients are worried about having an injection in the eye.
Patients attend every month for a period of 1 to 2 years. They're usually quite disturbed by the fact it's an eye injection to begin with, but once they realise that they're going to have local anaesthetic drops and they're going to be well prepared, we take them through the whole procedure, and then they go into an injection room, which is non-threatening really because it's a small room, it's not an operating theatre. And we introduce that to them beforehand if necessary, because some people are very nervous about having a needle put directly into the eye. Lots of people think it's actually going to go into the eyeball directly through, the pupil area, and that's not the case. It's to the side. They also envisage that they're going to see the needle, going into the eye, and that's not the case either. Most patients, when they've had the procedure, don't realise actually that it's finished because it's such a quick injection. All of the time is spent with preparation really. So we've never had anybody here not come back because the injection was too painful to tolerate. It's more the thought of the injection process.
Since about October 2007 I've had injections each month, either one eye or the other or both, and I've had both done today, and there is no doubt that the treatment I'm having has managed to retain the sight that I had in my left eye, and is probably helping now towards retaining some vision in my right eye. Originally, you're marginally concerned about people injecting into your eye. After the first time, when they numb your eyeball by drops, it deadens your eye, so you can't feel very much. There is no sensation of pain whatsoever. You're aware that your eye is open and can't be closed, and that it's numb. But as for pain, there is none at all.
Whether or not your MD is treatable, you should still have regular eye examinations to check the health of your eye, not just your sight. Dry MD can become wet, and of course you may develop other eye or health conditions that could be treatable. You can help yourself by checking your own vision regularly with an Amsler grid, which can help detect changes in your vision. Hold the grid at normal reading distance, cover one eye, and stare at the spot in the center of the grid. If you have MD, parts of the grid may be wavy, distorted, or missing. Check both eyes, and if you think your vision has changed, have an eye examination straight away. Regular testing is just one way that you can protect your sight. Here are some more. If you smoke, stop. Take regular exercise to help control your blood pressure and protect your cardiovascular system. Wear good quality sunglasses to filter out UV light and save your eyes from glare, and wear a brimmed hat outside, even on cloudy days. You should also eat well. It's increasingly believed that diet plays a significant part in eye health.
The eye requires nutrients from diet to protect it from the ravages of day-to-day living. We now know that in AMD patients that they have low levels of key micronutrients that we get in our day-to-day diet from fruit and vegetables. One of the key nutrients is called lutein, and lutein is a plant dye that is found in particularly large amounts in green leafy vegetables like spinach and like kale, but it's also present in foods like fruit and sweet corn. What is not a question at all is that the only source of lutein we have, our bodies can't manufacture it, so the only source that we have naturally is from our diet. So if we take in lots of fruit and vegetables, then we get a reasonable level of lutein. If we don't eat fruit and vegetables, we are deficient in lutein, and that is dangerous for the development and the progress of AMD. What we really don't understand is if we super increase the amount of lutein, whether that makes any extra benefit. And that's a question that's out to study at the moment in very large trials going on in Europe and America.
One big trial in America did find that large doses of some vitamins and zinc can help people with advanced MD. And for that reason, some, though not all doctors, do recommend supplements.
Well, supplements have their place. I never think that they should be a substitute for a good diet. That's one thing from the outset. But they do give an opportunity to give a real boost to some of these vitally important antioxidants that we do need in our diet.
The Macular Disease Society has useful leaflets about nutrition and other ways you can help protect your vision. While self-help is important in coping with MD, there's a lot of other help available too. Low vision experts help people to make the most of their sight. Your local social services department, eye clinic or blind society will know where your nearest centre is. This one is in Birmingham.
Patients can often be told there's nothing more that can be done, and that may be true as far as the hospital medical service is concerned, as far as the eye is concerned. but that is really the beginning point, and there's plenty that can be done as far as low vision is concerned. So this is really the beginning point of low vision services and where we can step in and try and help. We're here to look at anyone with visual impairment and try and make the most out of the vision that's remaining. So from the low vision clinic, where I work, we're looking at magnifiers and aids to make the most of people's remaining sight. Elsewhere on site here we have a resource shop where people can look at aids to help them with in daily living.
So it's got a camera and it's taking a picture of it, and I can drive it up or down depending on the size that I need to read with. Two different sizes. I lose that one though.
Yeah.
That's almost too big for me.
Yeah.
And that's better.
Oh, I can see that one.
Yeah, can you see that one?
There is a wide range of low vision aids and high-tech equipment, from simple handheld magnifiers to sophisticated computers and camera readers. A low vision expert can advise on what is most useful to you. Good advice about simple things, such as the lighting in your home, can improve a person's quality of life enormously.
Particularly with macular disease problems, lighting can make a huge difference in terms of not only reading, because people often look at lighting in terms of helping them read more, but also with other things within the kitchen, for example, at home, be it sort of making a cup of tea, buttering a slice of bread. Good directional lighting can make a huge difference in how easy these tasks are.
It's knowing where to go and where the facilities are available. So in terms of lighting, knowing what sort of light would help, looking at different aids. What suits one person doesn't suit another person. Each person has a different need, but you have to, with the help of professionals, explore what's best for you.
If no one suggests you should have low vision advice, you can ask to be referred to a low vision service yourself if you're having problems reading or doing everyday tasks. If your sight loss is significant, you can be registered as sight impaired or severely sight impaired. This can entitle you to certain benefits, and in some areas is the mechanism for accessing help from social services. Your hospital consultant has to complete the registration form. There's also a form of training which can help people with MD make better use of their remaining peripheral vision. It's called eccentric viewing because it doesn't rely on the central vision. MDS volunteers run training sessions, and so do some other organizations. The training helps people to identify the part of their retina which is working best, and then helps them to change the way they look and read to bring that part of the retina into the center of their vision.
Can you really focus where those two lines cross, where I'm putting my pointer, and tell me with your point with your finger where you think the clearest part of that grid is, by actually concentrating on the middle? Which part of that grid is clearest to you?
The right.
This area around here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Light is essential. The best light is just below your eyes so it doesn't blind you. You just hold them up here like that, and you put the page along with your eye up, and you can read what's there. It's absolutely wonderful.
It doesn't work for everyone, but it's very valuable to those who can master the technique.
This makes your life independent. You don't have to wait in your family coming up till you read everything for you. You can read your own letters, you can read instructions, you can read guarantees. If you want to have an argument about your electricity bill or something like that, you've got the reference and you can go to town on them. It makes you independent. You're leading a normal life.
Charming from the very first moment.
Macular degeneration is diagnosed every 3 minutes in the United States. 10% is in older people, 33% is over 75. Many people lose part of their vision.
There are various scanners, but it's not the same as simply picking up a book. Now, I'll never be able to read the same way as a sighted person can read. I'll never be able to simply just browse and scan. But I still can pick up a book and read it myself. I can read my own mail, I can read my own letters, and that's very, very empowering.
You can find out more about low vision help, eccentric viewing, and a great deal else from the Macular Disease Society helpline. The helpline is often the first port of call for people newly diagnosed with MD.
People assume all sorts of, or fear all sorts of things. They don't know what's going to happen to them. They think their life could be coming to an end almost. It's everything's going to be different. And very often it's a stage later in life when they're dealing with lots of other things as well. So what we want to do is to, first of all, listen to them and find out what it is, what their concerns are, and then talk through with them and address those particular areas, and also maybe give them information, questions that they've not thought about yet.
The Society also has a free telephone counselling service for anyone with macular degeneration. You can find out more by calling the helpline. Both the helpline and counselling services frequently hear from people with an unexpected and sometimes alarming side effect of sight loss, visual hallucinations. It's a phenomenon called Charles Bonnet syndrome, after the 17th century natural scientist who first described it. The most important thing to remember about it is that it is not a disorder of the mind, but a normal response of the brain to loss of vision.
We know that when we lose vision, the nerve impulses from the camera part of our eye, from the retina, decrease to the brain, and the brain cells then fire off when they shouldn't do, and it's that spontaneous firing off of cells in the brain that causes the hallucinations.
There were people going across a crossing outside the local hospital, and all of a sudden it looked to me as though there were cars coming and crossing there as well, knocking people flying. I nearly screamed, but suddenly realised that nobody else was taking any notice of it, and they were just carrying on talking or walking or whatever, as though there was nothing happening. And then I looked away and looked back again, and it had all gone.
It's not a sign of mental illness or dementia or any other sort of mental problem. It's something that all of us can do if we lose our sight.
I really did think, what on earth's the matter with me? I just didn't at that time connect it up with the eyesight problem, and I did get a bit frightened, but I didn't mention it to anybody because I thought they'd think I was daft, silly, stupid, whatever.
A typical hallucination will be relatively straightforward. It'll be of a pattern, a tapestry perhaps, or brickwork or lattice work, and most patients that have Charles Bonnet syndrome will describe an experience of that sort. About half of them go on to have more complex experiences.
I'm an artist and I was up in my studio and I suddenly noticed things interfering with my vision. The initial ones were slightly abstract, slightly latticey, but jumbled up, not a regular lattice pattern image, and I was a little bit concerned, and being an artist I thought, well, I'll do some pictures of them, which I did, and as I say, this is the first one I did. I did have other images of what I call gargoyle heads, which is this one here, and various sort of heads like that, and in black and white, strangely.
Charles Bonnet syndrome hallucinations tend to occur in a state of drowsy wakefulness, so when you're sitting in a chair, not falling asleep, but sort of relaxing. And so if you arouse yourself by walking around, making a cup of tea or something, that sometimes breaks the hallucinations. Putting the lights on if they're off, or switching them off if they're on, changing some form of ambient lighting condition sometimes helps as well. And sometimes people describe simply opening or closing their eyes in effect changing the light conditions can also stop them.
It is important that people do, if they have anything like this at all, I would say that the best source to go to initially is the Macular Disease Society. That is their area. They have their specialists, etc., who can advise them as to what information to give people, and they are very helpful.
Many people don't talk about their hallucinations, and it can be a great relief to discover that others have similar experiences. And in general, meeting and talking to other people with MD can be invaluable. The Macular Disease Society has support groups around the country. Joining a group like this one in Southport can be a therapy in itself.
It's good to meet other people in the same boat, but we have speakers every month, which is fantastic because you get to know what's going on. I thank the day when I actually joined. But everyone's so open, everyone's so friendly.
You have AMD, you've got it in both eyes, it's dry, nothing we can do. Bye. Literally. And it was only that I saw a little snippet in the local paper. I thought, I'll go along there.
The groups are run by volunteers like Pat and Mike Holden. Pat's wet MD was diagnosed too late for her to have treatment, but it's not stopped her running one of the Society's most successful local groups.
When it happens rapidly, it's total devastation to you, but you can come to terms with it. And there is life after macula, and I know that because I've proved that. I could either sit down and feel sorry for myself or get out there and do something about it. And that is what I've done, and that is what keeps me positive, focused, and it's made a big difference to my life. It's given me such courage and to look forward and just keep going.
I'm proud of Pat really, because of how she picked herself up afterwards, having this devastating news, and then she puts all her energy into helping other people, and so I do everything I can to help the group succeed.
Friends and families have to come to terms with MD too.
I was overprotective at first, very overprotective. Then I realised I was doing the wrong thing. If Pat wanted my help, she'd ask me for it. But before then, I was doing everything for her I could possibly do, make sure she was all right and everything, but it was the wrong thing to do. She needs her independence. She needs to do what she feels she can do. Also, is that I've come to the conclusion now that I don't interfere. If she needs my help, she asks me.
Local MDS groups can support families and friends too. In fact, anyone can join our groups. We have some groups specifically for younger people with MD, run by our WAM or Working at Macula section. Dealing with a diagnosis of MD as a young person can be very hard.
I just didn't have a clue what I was going to do, work-wise, family-wise, hobby-wise, everything-wise just seemed to stop on that day. Stumbled across a lady with a guide dog, and she asked me what I'd got, and I mentioned the word macula by chance. And she says, there's a group that meets last Thursday in the month. I just couldn't believe that there were other people there in a similar situation to myself. And they were telling me the horror stories of when they were diagnosed quite a few years before me. And they were also telling me all the little tips and everything else on how to get on with your life and concentrate on the positive things rather than the negative things, and just little tips really. And I came out of there clicking my heels, thinking I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to try and find other younger people and help set support groups up for young people. You know, we met up with this motley crew, and everybody sort of gets on with it, and we meet up 3 or 4 times a year, and it's good. You can still go out and do things. That's the main point I want to try and get across.
when you first get diagnosed, you feel really isolated and you think, oh my God, I'm like 14 years old, I've got the eyesight of a 60-year-old, what am I going to do? And you get really lost and you've got no one to talk to. But once I got in touch with Danny and Wham, which I saw on the last DVD, it's been much more positive, and I've helped other people who are a bit younger than me and given them guidelines on how they can deal with it.
It's really good to actually meet other people who are getting on with life, and actually just have some support about how to access the medical side of things with greater ease, and what to ask for, what's okay to ask for, and so it's just helpful to have other people.
Details of all local groups are available from the helpline. The Society also produces a wide range of publications for members and non-members. Actually joining the Society costs very little and brings extra benefits, including a quarterly magazine. It also helps others and supports the MDS's work to find cures and improve the care of people with MD. The Society relies upon the generosity of members and supporters to fund all of this work.
Fundraising is crucial for us because we don't receive any money from the government, so we rely entirely on donations from members and from other members of the public. We rely on people doing events for us, like runs and coffee mornings. We have a wide range of events that people do for us, and without this fundraising we wouldn't be able to deliver the services that we do, and there would be a lot of people who wouldn't know where to turn to get help for their problems with macular disease.
Events like the British 10K raise thousands of pounds for the Society.
We know what a wonderful job the Society does, and I've got a relation that's got it, and it's been brilliant for him. He's in his 90s and he's still living on his own and doing everything, so that's why I'm doing it, to raise some money, and I've dragged these two along as well.
My aunt has macular degeneration, and I thought it'd be a good thing to raise awareness and raise some money.
I'm an eye doctor and I deal with patients with macular disease all the time, so I thought I'd run and put something back.
Some of the money raised by the MDS and its members helps fund research into MD, such as this pioneering work developing stem cell therapy. It's hoped it will enable doctors to replace the eye cells which degenerate and die in MD.
The whole project has moved towards turning human embryonic stem cells into the very cell that dies in that disease at the back of the eye, and that cell has a rather long name. It's called retinal pigment epithelial cell, but it's a middle layer of cells right at the back of the eye which support the seeing part of the retina. So what we've managed to do over a number of years is to use the knowledge we have in terms of how those cells normally are born and developed, use that knowledge to turn the stem cell, into that RPE cell. We've managed to produce it in sufficient numbers, and we've been able to do a lot of work to ensure that it is the cell that we want. It will do what we want it to do, which is to support the seeing part of the eye.
If the research is successful, it will be among the very first practical uses of stem cell therapy, and the project now has major commercial backing. But in the early stages of the work, money donated by members of the MDS was vital.
The Macular Disease Society, at a critical period in the evolution of this whole endeavour, gave what I think is probably one of the largest donations any charity has given to a research project of this kind, from the size and from its own membership, which was without doubt immensely helpful and kept the show on the road, so to speak.
We all hope that one day there'll be a cure for MD. But of course, if you have MD now, you need ways of coping now.
Think positive. You will not go blind with MD. You will still have your peripheral vision. So if you remember that, there's a lot of things that you can do.
If you don't understand something, you must go and try to find out what it is. Once you know what the symptoms are, what the details are, that is highly therapeutic. If in doubt, find out. Ring the Macular Disease Society.
People are so kind. The people that are most unlikely, they'll make sure you get on the bus. They'll take you across the road. And my intention is to get as many people out there leading a normal life, a good life, as possible.
And I think acceptance of your condition, instead of beating your head against a brick wall and saying that you're going to do everything exactly the same way that you used to do it before you were diagnosed with this condition, that's equally as damaging. I think you have to accept that it is a life-changing condition, but it isn't a life-ending condition.
Each person has a different need, but you have to, with the help of professionals, explore what's best for you.
Grandad told me when I was very little, there's a mountain in Africa, he's been there in the army, with snow on the top. I didn't believe him until I was in my 20s and researched it. This happened to my eyesight and I wanted to climb that. I would have probably just dreamt about it and remembered his story, but because this happened I wanted to get on top of that mountain, and I made sure I did.
I'm pleased to say that having MD hasn't stopped me from doing many of the things that I enjoy, such as Last of the Summer Wine, my one-man shows, and being Wallace. What, no cheese, Gromit? It's not always been an easy journey with MD, but it hasn't been the end of the road. Good luck on your journey.
Macular degeneration produces problems. It can be diagnosed sometimes with just a simple little test, helping to show which parts of the eye are starting to be affected in the back of the retina. Laughter, I always believe, is the first place to start with many different therapies, especially this one. It really does help the immune system to improve. Good sugar, good oil, get rid of the bad oils and the bad sugars. Very important. Read the home use book. Learn this. Marigold has an extract for macular degeneration that's been very, very popular. We've heard all about the lutein, and there's a compound called quercetin that makes different flowers, different things yellow. Been very helpful. Vitamin C, beta carotene, wolfberry, lots of different things that have been very helpful. Making sure that you get plenty of the omega-3 and the good fatty acids, and making sure good oils, not bad oils, good sugars, not bad sugars. Read the book on nutrition to learn all about this. This is the basis of the formula. Eyebright is an herb that's been used for many years to help the eyes in many different eye conditions. Use it as an herb tea. It helps to boost the immune system. Cabbage juice, if you have the wet macular degeneration, is very good to help stop the bleeding. It has lots of vitamin K in it, which is a coagulation factor. We find that people with the SCIO have had response in macular degeneration if they follow a really good diet and avoid all the bad stuff. The SCIO has been shown to increase osmotic action and thereby to treat many different conditions, and especially conditions such as macular degeneration, which is largely a problem of osmosis in the inner eye. If the lymphatics are clean and we can detox properly, and get rid of the different toxins, supply all of the good stuff, good osmosis, and the SCIO device can stimulate the osmosis and help to build recovery.
It occurs in dry and wet forms. It's a major cause of visual impairment in older adults and can make it difficult or impossible to read or recognize faces, although enough peripheral vision remains to allow other activities of daily life. Although some macular dystrophies affecting younger individuals are sometimes referred to as macular degeneration, the term generally refers to age-related macular degeneration, commonly referred to as AMD. In this programme, we hear from the Royal National Institute of Blind People, better known as the RNIB, who offer information, support and advice to almost 2 million people with sight loss in the UK. Raising awareness of macular degeneration and its impact is a key part of the RNIB's work, as it is the leading cause of blindness. Leading consultant ophthalmologist Nicholas Lee and Ian Grierson, Professor of Ophthalmology at the University of Liverpool, discuss macular degeneration and a variety of other eye health conditions. We also hear from respected healthcare brand Bausch & Lomb, who offer the world's most comprehensive portfolio of eye health products. Bausch & Lomb's OcuVite Complete innovation is designed to provide nutrients which are thought to help maintain macular health and central vision. Finally, Steve Schallhorn, Chief Medical Director of Optical Express, explains why his organisation is the world's #1 provider of laser eye surgery. In the last 3 years, Optical Express has invested over £300 million in eye health technology and laser eye clinics.
RNIB, which is Royal National Institute of Blind People, is an organisation which provides information and support and advice to nearly 2 million people who've got serious sight problems in their lives. We've got 3 priorities. We work to stop people losing their sight unnecessarily. We obviously support people who've lost their sight, and we also work with the rest of society, with government and business and the community, to make the world a more inclusive place for blind and partially sighted people. The gateway for people who want to access their services is our helpline, and there we can offer support for people, advice for people to get back on with their lives if they've lost their sight. One of the most common forms of sight loss is age-related macular disease. And in fact, you don't go blind from age-related macular disease, but you lose a very significant part of your sight, and it can have a devastating effect on people's quality of life. But RNIB is here to help, and actually help you get back on with your life, because there is life after AMD.
Age-related macular degeneration, or AMD as it's often called, affects a part of the retina at the back of the eye called the macula. This affects your central vision, your ability to see high-resolution detail, pictures, people's faces. Essentially, there are 2 types, the dry type of macular degeneration and the wet type. Dry AMD is the much more common type of AMD. It causes a slow, gradual deterioration in vision, and often people are not aware of any problems because it happens so slowly. There's no current active treatment for it. However, the importance of going for low vision assessments, the importance of using effective lighting and contrast is paramount to how somebody with AMD adapts to losing their central vision. The wet type of age-related macular degeneration is the much more drastic, sudden onset form of the disease. It has a rapid onset and can give people the impression of straight lines, door frames looking quite wavy and distorted. Treatment is available for this type of AMD, but it has to be sought very quickly. So we really advise people, if they notice any change in their vision, to go for immediate help. The 2 types of AMD both have similar effects on the function of somebody's vision. They both affect the central vision, where looking at people's faces or reading books or seeing high levels of detail become much more difficult, resulting in a central patch of vision that's missing.
AMD has a devastating effect on people's lives because when they lose that central vision, they can't drive anymore. Cooking and getting about becomes a real problem. Reading, watching television, and just enjoying your family become real problems. And that has a deep psychological effect. It can be devastating for people. But RNIB, one of the things we want to do is to help people get back on with their life. There is life after AMD, and with help and support you can carry on with your life.
Currently, the exact cause of AMD is not known. However, there are some risk factors which are clearly well established. Smoking has been highly associated with AMD. In fact, smoking doubles your risk of developing the wet type of age-related macular degeneration. Additionally, smoking and developing AMD has been found to be just as strong a link as between smoking and developing lung cancer. Eating a healthy, balanced diet is really important to protecting your eyes. Lots of fresh fruit, vegetables, green vegetables, things like spinach, kale, broccoli, all got high levels of antioxidants that protect your eyes against the effects of age-related macular degeneration. Ultraviolet radiation has also been associated with developing age-related macular degeneration. So protecting your eyes in bright sunlight is really important. Wearing sunglasses and wearing brimmed hats will protect your eyes from the effects of high levels of radiation. Age-related macular degeneration has also been associated with the same risk factors as cardiovascular disease, so protecting your eyes will also protect your overall health. However, as the causes of AMD are not currently known, you might still develop age-related macular degeneration despite looking after all of these considerations?
I haven't found that it's stopped my life. I still do quite a lot of things that I could do in the past. I go swimming, for instance, which is a great big thing with me. I've always adored swimming. I'm 97 and I can still get on with life because I can see a lot. Actually, I know a lot of people with macular degeneration are much less lucky than me. I go to Moorfields all the time and I've been injected a lot, but now they've sort of signed me off and they say that it probably won't get any better. But you don't, of course, ever go completely blind with macular degeneration. And I've sat next to people in Moorfields who are aged 30-something and they've got it. And I think really I'm so lucky to have lived all this time. And I can see scenery and things like that. And I can do the garden. And I have found that the RNIB does provide help for things. For instance, if I get a script, of course, I've got to do an audition. Possibly. Sometimes I'm so famous that they have me without an audition. but if you've got an audition, well, of course, I can't do that because you have to read like that. But I've got a scanner, and I got that from the RNIB, and it's like that thing behind me, and you can blow it up big, and then you look at it down there, and you can blow it up big, and that's wonderful. So that when I get an audition, I say, send me the script, and I'll learn it. And I learn it on my scanner, and so I can go and act it properly when I go to the audition. So, yeah, certain things do help enormously.
Your GP is an absolutely vital gateway to treatment, as well as referring you to the eye doctor at the hospital, that's the ophthalmologist, where you can get treatment if that's possible. He can also refer you for a low vision assessment. RNIB believes it's vital that people have a low vision assessment, particularly when their sight is stabilised, because a low vision assessment will help you find ways of getting back on with life, getting on with reading, getting magnification, getting other help to do those everyday tasks that you want to do to get on with your life. And also, there are other things like self-help organisations, the Macular Disease Society, RNIB's partner, Action for Blind People, run centres across the country that can help you find equipment and other things. And there are great services for people, but lots of people just miss out. They go home and just think that that's the end of their life. And actually, we really need to encourage people to go to their GP, and we need to encourage GPs to not just think about the eye doctor, but also to think about those other services across the country which support people to get back on with life.
The treatment involves a series of injections into the eye. This type of anti-VEGF treatment, now available on the NHS, is designed to stop the growth of new blood vessels from forming. This new type of treatment stabilises the vision in most cases. Some people even notice an improvement in about a third of the cases. For the dry type of AMD, there's no active treatment. However, research has shown that vitamins A, C and E, zinc and copper in high doses can slow the progression of AMD. It's really important to have a diet that's very rich in green leafy vegetables that contain these vitamins. Vegetables such as spinach, broccoli, red peppers can all improve your diet to prevent the progression of dry AMD.
One of the vital pieces of the GP's toolbox is RNIB's helpline. The helpline is a gateway both for the GP asking for advice, but also for individuals to get access to support services. Great things like RNIB's Talking Book service, emotional support services, practical products that enable you to get on with cooking and reading and using your telephone and all those other everyday things. So the helpline is a great way of accessing those, and also accessing local organisations around who can help you. RNIB leads something called the UK Vision Strategy, which is a partnership with ophthalmologists, that's the eye doctors, optometrists and nurses and GPs and the government and lots of other organisations to promote eye health. And we do that both nationally, but also we encourage every region and every part of the country to have a local vision strategy project to improve eye health. So we do that, and through that we do things like the eye conditions leaflets. So these are leaflets that are available from RNIB and published in conjunction with the Royal College of Ophthalmologists to provide the very best advice and information on each of the eye conditions, including AMD, age-related macular disease. And they make sure that we've got really good information. And then we do practical things, like we enable a GP to write to somebody in large print or in braille or in audio. That's our WebDoc service, which we offer to GPs and to other organisations.
If you've got any concerns about your vision or about AMD, go and speak to your optometrist or your GP. Visiting the RNIB website or calling our helpline will also give you important advice and an opportunity to talk about your concerns about your eyes and about AMD. We also provide information for health professionals. We're here to support any questions you might have about your patients. If a patient comes into you to talk about any concerns they have about their eyes, you'll find that our helpline and our website will provide information about age-related macular degeneration and a whole host of other eye conditions as well. We are regularly reviewing our website with information from NHS evidence and various other sources to ensure that it is up to date. If you do experience AMD, blurring to your vision and difficulty seeing faces, reading, once you've had your low vision assessment, the most important thing to remember in your home and when you're out and about is to ensure you have your objects to see bigger, brighter and bolder so that you can navigate and move around comfortably, easily and see what you need to see.
RNIB's helpline is a great source of information and support to get back on with your life. And our website is full of information and practical services to enable you to get on. RNIB is there to help you get on with life, because there is life after sight loss. And don't give up on your sight. It isn't part of ageing. There is life after AMD.
Macular degeneration is a very common condition that affects people from the age of 60 onwards, affects anything up to 1.5 million people in the country. The interest now is that there are things that we can do to pick the disease up early, reduce its effect, and actually treat some of the more advanced forms of the disease. Drusen are small yellow bodies that the eye doctor or the optometrist will see at the back of the eye. They form usually after the age of 60. They don't tend to increase in number and are part of the early macular degeneration. There are two types of macular degeneration, the dry type and the wet type. Dry macular degeneration can be divided into early forms, intermediate and advanced forms. It starts off with just perhaps a few drusen, a little bit of thinning of the retina, vision may be hardly affected, but can then progress on over the years to be a little bit more advanced, vision becomes a little bit more patchy, maybe when reading a little letter or two is missed, and then on to the more advanced forms in some people where the vision can be quite significantly affected, even to the extent that you might need to be registered as partially sighted.
I was really close to my mum and my dad actually. They both passed away in 1999, but I obviously still, think of them all the time. I have very fond memories. When my mum was diagnosed with AMD, I didn't know what it was, but obviously you find out about these things very quickly, we all did. And I was really shocked to learn that it's actually the most common cause of blindness in the UK and in the Western world. And then another shock was to find that dry AMD, which is the most common form, is also untreatable.
The commonest form of macular degeneration, which accounts for 90% of macular degeneration, is the dry form. It can change into the wet form. The symptoms of dry macular degeneration, remember that it affects the macula, which is the very centre of your vision, so if you have macular degeneration it tends to cause blurring in the centre of the vision. That's different from wet macular degeneration, which patients tell me time and time again that the vision actually becomes distorted, straight lines become wobbly.
The greatest risk for AMD is age, but also nutrition, poor diet, a diet low in fruit and vegetables is also a risk factor.
When my mum was diagnosed with AMD, she stepped up her intake of leafy vegetables. Had I known about Preservision at that time, or had she known, she'd have certainly taken that.
The other risk factors include, well, probably the worst one is smoking. If you can stop smoking, that's really very good.
Luckily, I've never smoked, so smoking and AMD have been linked in some studies. What I also do, though, is I take a supplement. I take Ocuvite, which is made by Bausch & Lomb, and that's really good because, to be perfectly honest, you have to eat kind of Popeye-sized portions of spinach. It affects women more, especially blonde-haired, fair-haired, blue-eyed women. I can't do anything about that, or my age. But what I can do is guard against environmental factors. You know, sunshine, I don't smoke, lots of vegetables and regular eye tests.
Wet AMD is treated primarily by injections, and these are injections into the eye, and they are repeated on occasion. They need to be done several times. But they can make a dramatic difference to the outcome. The second form of treatment that's used involves laser treatment.
My grandmother was diagnosed with AMD a few years before she died, and it was quite a shock, really. I was away filming at the time, and so hadn't really known about the build-up towards it or about her sight deteriorating, anything other than your sight naturally deteriorates as you get older. My grandmother described it as a black hole in her vision, and it wasn't really until I started to research it a little bit more that I understood a little bit more what the condition involved, how it affected her, and the fact that it was also could be hereditary. When I was 16, I started a new school, started my A-levels, and I couldn't see the blackboard anymore. So ever since then I've been aware of my eyesight. Even things like my job, when I'm filming off in sunny, exotic locations, which is wonderful, you know, there are so many risks associated with that. Everyone thinks, oh, you have to protect your skin in the sun, but not many people will think about protecting their eyes in the sun. You can help to prevent AMD developing through diet and nutrition. Lots of people take vitamin supplements and all kinds of supplements for different things, but I had no idea that there were supplements available out there that could actually help with your eye health.
It's very important to have an evidence base for our medicine, and AREDS was a huge study. It's the age-related eye disease study funded by the National Institute in America, and it looked at antioxidant vitamins and also minerals like zinc, and asked the question, would this supplementation delay age-related macular degeneration? And it found in a fairly positive manner that was the case. The people who should take the AREDS formulation are people who have intermediate disease in both eyes or who have severe disease in one eye. There is no treatment as such for dry AMD, but in the early stages of the disease, if you have good diet or use supplements, that can make a difference to the development of the disease process.
Optical Express is the largest provider of laser vision surgery in the world today. It comprises a large group of clinics, of surgical centers around the UK. In fact, it employs over 2,500 personnel. We have and employ the best surgeons. Our surgeons have a phenomenal experience. They have collectively done over 700,000 procedures. So their experience is vast. In addition, we use the best technology that's available today. Best laser vision surgery technology and the best equipment. We also have a an international medical advisor board comprised of world-renowned leaders in the field internationally. And they provide clinical diligence, they provide oversight to everything we do to ensure that we do everything proper and as best we possibly can. So what is Optical Express? Optical Express is a company that provides state-of-the-art laser vision surgery to give every patient the best kind of procedure that we possibly can. Laser eye surgery encompasses several different techniques to reduce dependence on glasses or contact lenses. As such, it's really a life-changing procedure. It reduces dependence on glasses or contact lenses, the dependence on these functional things that we have to wear when we wear glasses. It is really the foundation of the technology is a laser, a cold laser that gently sculpts the cornea under computer control, which again corrects the refractive error. There's really two different types of procedures. One's called LASIK and the other's called LASEK. They're both very similar. In the LASIK procedure, the laser is used to sculpt the cornea under a flap which is made with another very special laser itself. This is the procedure that millions of people around the world have performed. In fact, it is the most common elective procedure in the world today. The LASEK procedure is very similar. It's done on the surface without a flap, and it generally can have a little more discomfort for the patient after surgery. But both procedures are relatively pain-free. The LASEK procedure is a procedure that's performed very similar to LASIK. And we, at Optical Express, when patients come in, we select the right procedure for them. The LASEK procedure, just like the LASIK procedure, is very safe and very effective. And we make sure that the patients are properly selected, that they know the procedure itself, and that we give them the best care possible. Optical Express uses the best, most state-of-the-art technology in its laser eye surgery. And it's really founded on two important technologies. One is the technology that is used to correct the error of refraction, to correct the need for glasses or contact lenses. The procedure is called wavefront guided, and we use the pinnacle of wavefront guided technology called advanced custom view. In this technology, we map the eye in great detail, and then we apply all of that precise detail to the treatment itself under the excimer laser. So this this soft, gentle excimer laser corrects those refractive errors based on this wavefront guided technology of advanced custom view. The second aspect of the technology that we use is a special laser to create the LASIK flap with. It's the intralaser, and we use the best intralaser technology called the IFS. This IFS laser has incredible and best precision, accuracy, and safety of any lasers that are available today. The combination of these two technologies, advanced custom view and the IFS, represent the best, most state-of-the-art technology that's available today. And that's what Optical Express uses in all of its centers. It's also important to appreciate that this same technology that Optical Express uses is what led NASA to approve LASIK for astronauts.
Prior to having surgery, I sort of spent the last 6 years from when I was at university struggling with my vision. I'd sit right in the front of the class, and even then it would be a struggle to see the screen. So it was definitely something that I always wanted to get done, but was apprehensive about just taking that decision to finally do it. So it was definitely something that I did want to do beforehand. It was definitely the right decision for me to make. I don't need to wear glasses, I don't need to worry about lenses. I can actually see clearly without squinting, and I can see the clock when I wake up in the morning.
Laser eye surgery improves vision and can give you complete freedom from glasses and contact lenses. It is a positive and life-changing experience which can improve many aspects of everyday life. Just imagine waking up in the morning and being able to see your alarm clock without any glasses, no need to fumble around for glasses. If you're a new parent, waking up in the middle of the night to check on your child. If you lead a hectic life, which most people do, or if you participate in many sports, adults. You don't need to worry about losing a contact lens or breaking any spectacles. Many of our patients that have had laser treatment tell us that it minimises the hassle of packing while going abroad. So forgetting their prescription sunglasses, the contact lenses, contact lens solutions. So just in terms of being really spontaneous, dipping into a pool, not worrying about if sand gets into your eyes, sunscreen gets into your eyes, it just makes your everyday life so much more simple and easy. Many patients say, why haven't they had laser eye treatment done earlier, years ago? And you know, there's no way to find out unless you have a consultation to find out if you are suitable. So at Optical Express it is free. Have a consultation and find out if you can get it done.
Optical Express is the largest provider of laser vision surgery in the world today. It has invested over £300 million in the best, most state-of-the-art technology, in the best people that work for Optical Express, in the best clinics. As such, it's pretty easy to imagine that we provide the best procedure possible, the safest, most effective surgery to give the best possible care to the patients that come in to have surgery.
As we've seen, the treatment for macular degeneration and other eye health conditions has changed rapidly over the past few years, and new potential treatments continue to be developed and tested. Having an eye test at least once every 2 years should be part of everyone's healthcare routine and should be actively encouraged by healthcare professionals. However, it's important to remember that many causes of sight loss are preventable if they're caught early by visiting an optician. I'm Georgina Burnett and you've been watching NHS Insights, Macular Degeneration.
So what we have seen is that there is a real strong lifestyle component of getting rid of the bad foods and eating the good foods, and there is a genetic component to this as well. But we can help to really treat this, and dramatically we can help to prevent this if we get to the right quality of nutrition for the eye. Let's learn more.
Oh boy. Hold on. Learn exactly how certain foods, and not just carrots, although carrots are also still included, right, Doctor?
Absolutely.
Can actually improve your eyesight. Joining me right now, Dr. Sandy Feldon, Medical Director of Clearview Eye and Laser Medical Center, trying to get me to have the surgery, because you notice I have my glasses on. And also Andrew Spurgeon, Executive Chef for Water Fine Catering. Get to you in a moment. First, we've got to talk to the doctor here, because the foods that we can eat, we've all heard carrots are good for your eyesight. So what other foods can we include in this group?
Well, firstly, carrots are absolutely great for your eyesight. Just like your mother always said, carrots contain beta-carotene, and beta-carotene is an antioxidant which helps protect the cells in our retina. Now, not only carrots are important, but you can see here the green leafy vegetables, other types of carrots. We have here the oranges and the fruit, which contains vitamin C. The mango and sweet potato, which contains beta-carotene. The leafy vegetables, which contain lutein and the xanthine. Now, lutein is important for the area of our finest vision, our central vision. And it's actually been shown, and there's evidence, compelling evidence by the National Institute of Health, that eating right and taking your vitamins can actually prevent and reduce the progression of eye disease.
So it's not just overall health, but good for your eyesight as well. What about, I've heard a lot about the omega-3 fatty acids that you get and can buy the pills for. Does that actually help? Is that something you can take every day?
The omega-3 are very, very important, and we can see here that the salmon, especially the wild salmon that Andrew is preparing, is really helpful for us. It's helpful for our eyes as well as our heart.
And what we're talking about here is something that we can actually do at home, right, Chef Andrew? This is something that it's not super complicated. You're an executive chef, so I mean, you know.
No, I try to make it easy. I haven't made this before, but you know, I got the list from Dr. Feldman.
Okay. And so you kind of took those ingredients and tell us what you created.
I ran with it. I actually just started running right away. So this is a carrot puree. I did get some recipes, so they'll put them up there, I'm sure. It's a carrot puree with ginger, and then we have sautéed greens, the kale, the black kale, the chard, spinach. Citrus is really good for you.
Just like Popeye said, the spinach and the kale and the green leafies are really important for your eyes.
So the spinach is it's not just good for your Popeye muscles, but also, there you go.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. And then, you know, the salmon, obviously, and citrus on top. So it's actually really a simple dish. I mean, it looks all fancy and everything, but it really is something that you could make at home, for sure.
And you get the main ingredients, and you get a fine dish, and it's healthy, and it's good for your eyesight as well. And then,
sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, yes, sir.
So here,
stuff, and now you have like this is dessert. Obviously, we have.
Actually, no, it isn't.
That's not dessert.
No, it isn't. You know what this is? I took the idea of a caprese that you make with tomatoes, which are also they're good for your eyes.
Absolutely, but they contain a lot of the antioxidants and lutein in there.
Lutein, lots of lutein.
There you go.
This is just some peaches, which are perfect this time of year.
And that's the vitamin C.
There you go. And burrata, which is kind of like mozzarella on steroids. It's absolutely delicious. I made some fig anise croutons.
The burrata is great too, because cheese contains zinc, and zinc is also important for our eyesight.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little fascinated by how many foods are out there that can actually improve your vision. I probably should have eaten them a lot more when I was growing up. Because
well, you can start.
It's not too late now.
Well, think of that kind of thick.
You know, I think we can take care of this. And do you know that vitamin C actually helps the healing after laser vision correction? It's important to use your eyes when we're looking and approaching the food. We want to look at all the different colors on the plate, and the different colors on a plate guide us to eating well. Not only does it look appealing and appetizing, but it's great for our eyes as well and our health.
And it's very colorful and beautiful, and I can't see anything, doctor.
Now, you really need your eyesight. You can live life more fully when we can see more clearly. And it begins with making small changes in the fuel in our body. That's the food.
So can I improve if I start now, or is it something that I'm
Absolutely. You can prevent eye disease.
Okay.
So start now. It's never too late.
We've all heard that carrots are good for your eyes, but there are plenty of vegetables and other foods that are even better for eye health. According to a review in the journal Alternative and Complementary Therapies this month, the antioxidants lutein and zeaxanthin can help your eyes cope with glare and bright lights. They also seem to help slow or even reverse the symptoms of macular degeneration, the most common cause of age-related blindness. Here are 3 easy changes you can make to your diet to help protect your eyesight. First, help yourself to lots of kale. Now, you usually see this leafy green used as a garnish, but if you actually eat the stuff, you'll get plenty of eye-friendly nutrients. Toss it into a salad with some olive oil. The oil will help you absorb the nutrients. Just don't chop it until the salad's ready to serve. It helps preserve the vitamin C in the kale. Second, if kale's not your thing, add collard greens, turnip greens, or spinach to your meals. To make a quick spinach salad, toss 2 cups of raw spinach with a tablespoon of walnut oil, a teaspoon of mustard, and 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You can find other easy recipes by searching the recipe finder at Rodale.com. And finally, add some omega-3 fatty acids to your diet. These healthy fats are found in fatty, oily fish like wild-caught salmon, albacore tuna, and sardines. Try to eat 3 4-ounce servings a week. Omega-3s not only seem protective against macular degeneration, they also help keep your eyes from feeling dry and scratchy. For more information about healthy living on a healthy planet, go to Rodale.com.
So I presented lots of little different ways for you to learn about what the good foods are, some of the bad foods, and how to clean up the body, and using the different electrical devices like the Skio and different stimulations and exercise, how we can really make a very, very good effort to prevent macular degeneration, and we can boost the treatments of it, not only by working with your doctor, but also by working with nature, because it is nature, and we have to deal with the conditions of the eye. This is Desiree Dubonnet. Thank you.